Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from worldwide. I'm Sterling. Always a pleasure to get together here once a week. I want to remind everybody these shows are for entertainment purposes only. We hope you find them valuable. It always helps the channel if you remember to like and subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell. That way you know when a new video is uploaded. We're also want to remind everybody we're still running a contest. So every time we reach a new level of 1,000 subscribers, giving away a free half-hour session with myself, as well as with Linda Grindle. So the next 1,000 level will be 18,000 subscribers. I think right now we're at 17,400 something. And the way you enter the contest is by leaving comments in these shows, starting off with the word love. That way we know you want to be entered into the contest. And you also need to be a subscriber to the channel. And that way we'll pick the winners from all the subscribers and the ones that have entered comments in these shows with the word, starting off with the word love. So hopefully that helps. Today, I wanted to talk about a few things, but before I jump off, I also want to give a special thanks to Hyperledger for just doing a wonderful job at putting the timestamps in these shows. Very, very helpful. I send out my warmest thanks and a lot of love for Hyperledger for all the work that's being done there. So thank you for all the timestamps in the comments. Today, we're going to cover C19 and the variants, and we'll also go through a top list of top countdown of frequently asked questions. The way you enter questions, by the way, in these shows is they go right on the community board on the Sterling Psychic Medium channel every week. Like Monday or Tuesday, we'll put out a fresh request for questions, and that's where you put the questions and the topics you'd like to see covered here on this show. Now, I'm going to just make a little footnote comment here is that I'm going to talk a little bit in code, if you will. We talk about C19 and variants. YouTube has some very strict policies and guidelines, and they just want to be careful that everybody is not creating any kind of a fervor or some sort of an extra level of panic, if you will. So I'll be sharing information that comes directly from my guides and angels, but I'll refer to it in terms of the variants and C19, that kind of a thing. So I just want to make that clear before we kind of get into this topic area. So first off, well over a year ago, around the beginning of 2020, I done some shows with Linda Grindle and myself, and I kind of forecast from the information I received how the pandemic was going to roll out and what kinds of major milestones we were going to see. I remember at the beginning of 2020, my guides had said that by August of that year, there'd be a number of breakthroughs around vaccines, and that would help accelerate the production of vaccine, if you will. And in fact, I think we saw that happen with all the new technology that was developed and adapted. But it's also important to note that at the same time, in early 2020, my guides and angels had said that by the end of August of this year, 2021, we would have 4 very solid manufacturers creating a vaccine in hundreds of millions of doses in quantity that would help supply it to the world and help C19 along, if you will, in terms of helping humankind. The other thing that I want to point out is that towards the end of last year, beginning of this year, my guides also said that there'd be a very strong, whole new second wave, and I mean a massive wave. And that is what we're seeing now with the Delta variant. So the good news is that the information I get is that all the vaccines that are out there are credible and very helpful against the Delta variant. Obviously, those are not vaccinated or are certainly at risk. But what I saw, and I still continue to see, is that the rollout from the 4 major vaccine manufacturers as they get approval, and they don't all have full approval yet, but you'll see that coming very soon, that we will then see hundreds of millions of doses in effect help curb the Delta variant. Now, a lot of this is still going to be a rocky road through the end of this year. So this particular year, going out into January, February of next year, it's going to take that long for C19 and the variants to all calm down. I also see that when we get this great supply and run rate, if you will, of vaccines, as we get to the 3rd, 4th quarter of this year, we'll definitely have vaccines available for small children. That question comes up a lot. So I want to make sure that gets out there. So It could be as soon as September, October, we'll start to see vaccines for younger children. The other thing is that there's a Lambda variant running around, and what I get on that is that all the things that we're doing right now to address the Delta variant and the vaccines will also be able to calm down and take care of the Lambda variant. So I see a lot of the focus staying on the Delta variant. I see it's making very good progress starting up the end of August, kind of end of summer, and then throughout the rest of this year, we'll start to get that under control. I do, unfortunately, I see a few states implementing shutdown procedures. There will be another mask mandate coming. Unfortunately, there will be some closures in certain types of indoor restaurants and eating establishments, but this won't be as long as the first cycle. It may only be a month or something of that nature. So it's a little bit of a roller coaster ride now through the end of the year, but I do see us making tremendous progress. So let me address a couple of unique questions. Somebody did ask, how do I see Australia managing? And it's going to be managed actually along the very same guidelines we just talked about. That from now through the end of the year, I do see Australia is going to be a little rough, but the vaccine rollout will start to get very aggressive, and Australia. So as we get towards the end of the year, we'll certainly start to get a lot of this under control. And then I guess a side question somebody asked, do I see the CDC taking additional action? I do. Over the next 30 days, we'll see announcements in order to help curtail the Delta variant. So there'll be mask mandates and other sorts of guidelines. So hopefully that's helpful. That's kind of as a top line topic. I want to discuss C19 and the variants and Delta and Lambda and kind of what's happening with what I saw in terms of forecasts last year of the 4 major vaccine suppliers that'll be off and running in a big way by the end of August of this year. So hopefully that was helpful. So now let's get into the top 43 countdown of frequently asked questions. And I first want to thank everybody for supplying all the questions. I think Linda was telling me it received like 300 to 400 questions this week, all very thoughtful, very articulate. So thank you for putting all the time and attention. And I'm happy to help out wherever we can here in terms of answering these questions. So let's start off with number 43 in the top countdown. Is it true that every medium is a psychic, but not all psychics are mediums? Yes. So we're all born with psychic mediumship ability, but certainly at a baseline level, psychic ability has different types of components. You could be clairvoyant, you can see, or clairaudient, you can hear. And I've always seen that, as you kind of work on that skill, you develop that skill, then mediumship is kind of an enhanced level of ability, because now you're not communicating with your angels and guides, but also family members of other individuals you may not know. So there's a level of skill to it and a level of elevation, energetic level, and communication ability. So I would say that statement is true, that every medium is a psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. Okay, number 42 in the top 43 countdown. If we have become awakened in this lifetime and choose to reincarnate, do we come into the next lifetime already awakened? Yes. So my interpretation there of that question is that you elevate every lifetime you come back, you build off of the prior lifetimes. So for example, if let's say you're supposed to learn compassion in a prior lifetime, you certainly come through with enhanced skills in this lifetime, but you normally will choose different lessons to elevate your understanding each time you come back. And by the way, I get asked this question all the time. It's certainly free will if you want to come back. It's all up to the number of lessons and things you want to learn. Number 41 in our countdown, is the other side involved with choosing the leaders of the world? Yes, it's a collective decision in the universe. And the universe includes all guides and angels and spiritual beings and the one force. So it is certainly part of a master plan, all leaders that are chosen. Some people ask, well, how come some leaders are so awful and cause so much grief? It's all about a combined life experience, a life lesson. And in fact, if you take cases where some individuals may be asked to rise up and become a hero and really step in and help humankind, that's a great example of why maybe some leaders that are not so desirable are chosen in order to facilitate other types of learning on the planet. Number 40, I'm going to count down. I really need assistance in knowing if I'm on the correct life path. Where can I find this help? Well, I think the best place to start is always to start working with your guides and angels and ask for what I call divine guidance. Now, in addition to that, when you're on your life path, things will resonate with you. So if you're supposed to be on a life path to, let's say, be a healer, and you're a doctor, or maybe you're doing Reiki healing, those things will really start to resonate, give you a lot of enjoyment. The universe will validate those things for you. So I guess the answer is there's a bit of a process here, but you want to start off asking for divine guidance and then look for those things that resonate with you. And that certainly helps you understand what life path you're on. Number 439, GOP is threatening to vote Pelosi out of her position. Do you think they will succeed? No, this will not happen. In fact, I don't think there's even, I'm being told, not even a direct legal path to make that happen. But what I do see is this is another part of what I'll call a GOP sideshow. So she will not be voted out. Number 38 on the countdown. Will conservative politicians and talking heads on Fox, who are now telling their respective audience to get vaccinated after months of calling COVID a hoax, have any influence at all? No one, unfortunately, know that, the change of tune, if you will, with some of the GOP leaders and Fox specifically, it won't have a big effect because what's actually done is create some confusion. So, you told a certain, story for so long, and now it's created levels of confusion. So no, I don't see that having a dramatic effect in changing the way that their audience and the GOP now look at the vaccine. Unfortunately, I don't see a big change. 37. Some scientists and channelers have predicted that we are headed to another mini ice age, which will be preceded by a short, high spike in global temperature. Is this what's happening? No, there will not be another mini ice age. We'll see the continual movement of, climate change and weather changes. But as we move into a green economy and green energy policies, all this will change. But it's really going to take the better part of several decades for us to see all that change. But do not see another mini ice age. Number 36 on the countdown. Are McConnell and Rand Paul cheating with Kentucky votes? How is it they keep getting reelected? I see manipulation of voting machines using offshore talent. So, that's how it's happening. It's kind of electronic manipulation using some offshore talent. Number 35. Astrophysicists are now contemplating whether or not UFOs, UAPs, and alien sightings are actually evolved human beings traveling back in time to help monitor and communicate with us. Is this true? No. Actually, there's more than a dozen ETs and ET species that have been visiting the planet for millions of years. That's who we're seeing in these UFOs and UAPs. Number 34. With the admission of the FBI not having investigated SCOTUS, Kenneth Kavanaugh tip line under Chris Wray, will there be fallout for the FBI? Yes, but what I get is we're actually not going to see that in any public way, until we get way out into like the middle of next year. So it will, but it's a little bit of time off before we see that happen. Number 33 in the countdown. Dogs are getting cancer at a rate of 1 out of 2. Is there something we can do to help reduce this number? Is it food, vaccines, environment? The answer is yes. So it's a combination of a number of things. A little bit of an evolution in dogs' DNA, along with environmental factors and food, are all contributing to this. So I do believe vets, veterinary doctors, and scientists are going to get a handle on this and be able to kind of back that off so we don't see such high levels of cancer in animals and dogs in particular. 32. Will wolves be put back on the endangered species list? Recent hunts in the northern states have decimated populations of wolves. Hunters have been able to use dogs to go into dens and kill mothers and pups. That's awful. Yes, what I'm being told, this will be addressed with stronger laws put in place over the next several years under the Biden administration for what I call wildlife conservation. So yes, we're going to see some improvement under new wildlife conservation laws. Number 31, do you see Beto O'Rourke becoming governor of Texas? I see him definitely running, but unfortunately, I don't see him winning. It looks to me like what I'm being shown is it's going to be another Republican governor, but much more moderate. So because of all the things happening in Texas, it's going to move to a much more moderate stance. But unfortunately, I don't see Beto O'Rourke winning. Number 30, the countdown. How to know that memory, or how do you know if memories are from the other side and they're real? I think the interpretation of this question is, let's see, how do you know that memories from the other side are real? Well, it takes some practice, but I'll tell you that this all gets back to what I call a resonance. So if you get back, let's say, in an environment, maybe parts of Europe, and they really resonate like you've been there before, that certainly is an indication that that's a true memory. Also, you might, let's say you're a boat captain in prior lives, and you have a fascination with ships, or when you get around certain areas or certain vessels, you get a real resonance or a cold chill. Those are all signs that those memories are real. So it takes a little bit of practice, but those are some of the indicators. Number 29. Sterling, some people say that they have already chosen or have made a contract before being reborn to learn soul lessons in this life. Does free will and doing good deeds also play a part in how your life turns out? Well, it does. So, doing good is all part of, a free will choice. But overall, free will, even if you have a contract, I tell people all the time, or a life blueprint, what free will does is it really affects how much you zigzag on your life path and how much you accelerate through your life path or de-accelerate. So, for example, does it take 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, or 30 years to achieve what you came down here for? And free will also affects the scale at which you achieve. So does your life's work affect 10 people, 10,000, or 10 million, or even 100 million people? So free will certainly does affect how you kind of move through your life path. Number 28, using CRISPR technology in Australian labs stop COVID from spreading in human cells. Will this become an accessible remedy? And if so, when? Yes, absolutely. I've talked about, gene splicing, gene editing technology many times here on these shows, on Linda Grindle's shows. CRISPR technology will be used to help fight C19 and COVID. And that technology is certainly already seen, some lab tests that are going very, very well. But it looks like widespread availability for me is at least a year off. It could be more like a year and a half. So we're going to start to see the acceleration of CRISPR technology used in this area. Number 27 on the countdown. Can you please see if there will be any improvements on cataracts and vision care advances? Yes, by 2023, I see implement of like new blue laser technology. So maybe that'll mean something to doctors out there, but they're talking about new blue laser techniques for helping to treat cataract surgeries and vision care. Number 26 in the countdown. What do the Native American elders on the other side say about New Age tarot readers? Well, they believe that anybody that can accurately connect with their spirit guides and their angels and then help move that information forward doing, let's say, tarot card readings are perfectly acceptable. What they're also telling me, they have no real opinion, but as long as the readers are connecting with their spirit guides and their angels, and they're pure of heart, that they're completely all for it. Number 25, can a human soul make a choice to reincarnate in another race or species? Can a human soul have a Pleiadian lifetime? Yes. So all human souls can choose to come back in any sex, any race, certainly a lot of variability there. Many individuals down here have lived, hundreds of lifetimes, even thousands of lifetimes, have come from what they call star seeds or Pleiadians. So yes, you can choose to go back that direction if you like. You have all that's a free will choice. 24. When will our gas-powered vehicles become obsolete or illegal? So they won't become obsolete or say illegal for me. If it's going to take 30 to 40 years for them to be completely obsolete or illegal. But I do see over the next 15 years, so within 15 years, say by 2036, there'll be very stringent guidelines on the books as to what kind of vehicles can be sold and kind of reductions in the availability of, let's say, petroleum-based fuels and much more availability of charging stations. So a little bit of an evolution there, not really illegal or obsolete for 30 to 40 years, but certainly in 15 years, very strong guidelines and trying to stop the sale of those vehicles and aiding electrified cars. Number 23, when someone does a general reading with cards, is it your guides that bring forth the information to the reader? Yes, absolutely. So all card readings and all tarot reading, things of that nature, the individual's working with their guides and angels, and so the cards are kind of a vehicle. And so, yep, absolutely, that's how that works. 22, do you see an increase in Social Security and disability checks? I do. I see a moderate increase of a few percent this year. I'm getting like 3-4%. And then as we get into next year, I'll see almost a similar increase into like the second or third quarter of next year. So a bit of an increase this year and then another increase kind of beginning of next year. 21, several died in the floods in Germany. Was it their sole contract to die in a flood when the flooding was caused by climate change? Everything that happens in the universe and down here on Earth is all part of a master plan. And if you die in a flood, that is part of your life plan. It is on your blueprint. So it is all part of a soul contract. Yes, I get that. And it's something that all of the souls kind of agree to in advance. Those things don't happen by accident. It's all part of a larger universal plan. Number 20. When will gene splicing become common in medicine? Will it replace the need for major joint surgeries for things like knee replacement, hip replacement, shoulder replacement? Yes, over the next 5 to 10 years. So within 5 years, we'll see a lot of CRISPR and gene splicing technology. But it's going to take another, say 10 years from where we are out now for that technology to be implemented in terms of helping with knee problems, shoulder problems, that kind of a thing. And what gene splicing will really do is help the body heal itself. So it'll reduce the requirement for, let's say, knee replacement or shoulder replacement by helping the body. So you got kind of a 5 to 10 year window from where we are right now before that comes practical and implemented in those areas. Number 19, many people we hear about doing horrific things to people, are they still held accountable for their actions when they die? Yes, and I think something else added here, if those transgressions were never discovered, are they still held accountable? Yes. So all those things are addressed in what I call life review. And everybody goes through a life review. Life reviews really are intended for us to be able to learn the lesson that we came down here for. But yes, doesn't matter whether they're discovered or not discovered, they're all part of that individual's life review. Number 18 in our countdown. Will humans one day be able to communicate through telepathy? Yes, this is all very closely associated with the same parts of the mind that help you do psychic and mediumship work. And telepathy will certainly be something that human beings will do with each other. 17. Native Americans have told stories about Sasquatch for decades. Are they interdimensional beings associated with UFOs who are able to communicate telepathically? Yes, these are ETs. I've actually talked about them a number of times. They have the ability to shapeshift. And one of the reasons that they're harder to see, and shapeshifting is part of kind of their demeanor, is to really try and protect themselves from identification. So yes, they're interdimensional beings, they're ETs, they do have shapeshifting capability. By the way, within 5 years, all this will be much more prominent on the public stage. As I said, we're going to see a lot of the ETs be much more commonly available, and we'll understand who they are within 5 years. 16, do animals have astrology signs? If they do, can an astrologer read their chart and tell us their traits and personalities based on their signs? Yes, absolutely. Animals, dogs, cats, horses, they all have astrological signs, and you can certainly look at astrology and determine some of their behavioral traits, personality traits, absolutely. Number 15, When we talk to others, do our higher selves connect too? Yes, our higher selves are always connected with us. And when you're talking with other individuals, our higher selves are connecting with those people. There's always life lessons and interactions going on between those individuals, and your higher selves are always involved. Number 14, why is 45 giving personal interviews to tell-all authors and non-liberal journalists? This is all part of kind of a methodology to kind of stay in the press. Kind of 45's belief is that no press is bad press, but he's using this as a little bit of a leveraging tool for himself to be able to kind of remove himself. He kind of wants the best of all realities, and so in fact, even some of these interviews he's doing for these journalists, he can also point to the fact that maybe that he wasn't treated fairly, and here's some more evidence he wasn't treated fairly. So for him, there's no press is bad press. 13, how can we help our loved ones who are experiencing deep depression or challenging anxiety? So, what I'm being told is there's always like three components to kind of deep anxiety. There's an emotional component, there's a spiritual component, and there's also a physical component. Now, I'm not a doctor, obviously. However, I'm being told that all three of these components need to be addressed and looked at with some kind of detail. So maybe you're trying to help, certainly there's a spiritual side to it. Learning, for example, how to talk to your guides and angels, or how to center yourself, or balance your chakras. But there could also be a medical component, maybe some trauma related there. There might also be some other external factor, maybe it's alcoholism or some other drug influence. So what I'm just being told is that you have to approach this in kind of three different levels, three different areas, and kind of treat the complete person. Number 12, what do you see for the Newsom recall election in California? What I get is he's safe and he will not be recalled. Number 11, do you see a time when we will live a more communal lifestyle in the US? I'm wondering about things like community gardens, childcare co-ops, and more localized services. I do see a little bit of this, but what I see is as we move to a green economy, I see a lot of sharing of resources or even technologies, between cities and more statewide. It's be on a much larger scale. So I think the answer, what I'm getting in that is, to some extent, yes, we'll share resources. Could be gardens where maybe there's some type of crop that's grown much better in Southern California, for example, than Northern California. There will, as we move to a green economy, we'll see sharing, or even things like green power. We'll be sharing green power. 10, will Tom Barrack, he was just arranged being a 45 agent, mostly for the UAE. Did he also work as a courier between 45 and Russia? Unfortunately, yes, I do see there's a component of this, and I believe this is all being detailed down that 46-page indictment. So unfortunately, the answer to that involvement is yes. Number 9, Sterling, you stated that the guide said that personality disorder is a disease. Will there ever be a cure? Yes, there will be advances in neuroscience and neurochemistry, understanding that. And here again, some forms of CRISPR technology will be very, very helpful in the 5 to 10 year time frame. Number 8 in our countdown, you said many times that we've all agreed to come down here as part of a lifetime blueprint to serve as light workers to move the ball forward. So what's the deal with those who have seemed to be here for the exact opposite, to block love and push forward fear and hatred? Well, as I said before, we're all aligned with the universal plan. So there's always life lessons going on amongst all of us. All of our life paths interconnect. So while it feels like they're here kind of working against us, this is also a time where individuals, for example, if it's on their life path to be a hero and a savior, if you will, or come out in politics and really help move the ball forward, that's all part of their process. So unfortunately, there's always dark and light. There's always yin and yang, if you will, in the universe. And that's all part of why that exists. Number 7 on our top countdown, have you received information from your guides that you were told to keep confidential? Yes. However, I always find that the information is always shared at the right time with the right individuals. So it may not be appropriate for all audiences, but the information is always shared at the right time with the right individuals. Number 6, is it true that several Secret Service agents openly supported 45 regarding the January 6th insurrection? And are they still in their jobs? Yes, this is true. Many of them are still in their jobs. But what I also get on that is this January 6th commission, this insurrection commission, will bring out a lot of this truth. Number 5 in the countdown. People of different faiths talk about speaking in tongues. Is this real? And if so, what is the significance? Yes. I believe this is called glossolalia. And yes, so if you're channeling guides or doing some mediumship work with individuals, it's certainly very possible to talk in tongues. Those will be languages that maybe the psychic medium, where we're doing the channeling, doesn't speak normally. So as far as that definition of talking in tongues, you certainly can. Number 4 in the countdown, will the horrible dog meat festival end in China and parts of Asia? Yes. Within a few short years, it looks to me like the world community comes down pretty hard on China in this area, and they'll be forced to change laws and the ways that they handle these festivals. So I do see a pretty good outcome over the next 2 to 3 years here with the world community forcing a change. Number 3 in the countdown, do ETs have angels watching over them? Yes. So ETs, like a lot of other beings in the planet, obviously a lot of us are star seeds, but they have come down. They do have guides and angels watching over them. Absolutely. Number 2 in the countdown, do you see anything coming up this week? I do see new colleagues of 45 getting indicted. There's some more string of indictments coming. I do see a few more significant earthquakes across the U.S. They'll be a little challenging, but they won't be devastating. I do see a string of earthquakes across the U.S. And I do see Nancy Pelosi coming out much more prominently and getting around to the first rounds of testimony or getting this January 6th commission off and running. And number 1 in our countdown, do you have anything your guides want to share? Yes. Keep working with your guides and angels to best understand how to communicate with them, and then share that information to leverage and help heal the world. So I hope this was helpful. Always a pleasure getting together with you. It's kind of a very long list in the countdown list of questions today, but always happy to get through them. As always, if you want to book a session with me, it's easy, sterlingpsychicmedium.com. Look for the book online tab. Always a pleasure. I want to express a lot of goodwill, a lot of love to everybody out there. And please like, subscribe, share, and ring the notification bell. And we will see everybody next week. Take care. Have a great week.